My name is Gary Rosenbush. I'm the ag teacher at Glen Rose High School. I was Curtis's ag teacher before or throughout his high school career.
Curtis and I were both in FFA together. We served, I remember competing on the Green Hand chapter conducting team, winning second in state and a lot of other things. We had a strong ag chapter. And I just remember going and watching Curtis at all the different, at the district level, at the area level, and the state level. And man, the guy was awesome. He was very smooth in front of a crowd. He could speak and just mesmerize everybody.
He was our chapter president. He was our district president. He was Area 8 president. He was state president. He was national president. He was national extemp speaking winner. He was president of the student body at Texas A&M. And everybody thought at some point in time he'd be president of the United States.
He was the kind of child that had, once he read something, once he saw something, then it was memory. He had no problem recalling everything he saw, he learned everything.
One of the things that I noticed about Curtis is every time he had a goal or a vision that he was striving for, man, he was all in and he would do great. And whether he was running for state FFA president, national FFA president, student body president, and he was all in. But one of the things that was really difficult, just looking in as outside as a friend, is when he graduated. You know, he began a new job, away from family and away from friends, and I didn't talk to him as much, and I think sometimes he began to withdraw. I know it was at that time that he began to experiment with drugs.
Throughout this journey, you know, at that point and even much later on, I knew Curtis was in a lot of pain, just, you know, from life and the things that we go through, and I knew that this was his way of escaping that, and that was just that was devastating for me too as a sister, just to see the pain that he was in. Of course from the drug use, because I knew that he didn't want to be doing what he was doing, but also just, you know, whatever was behind it, all the emotional stuff that, you know, we go through in our lifetime. And I knew he was in a tremendous amount of pain and just wanting to escape that. In the summer of 2007, probably spring actually, he had relapsed, and so he had been using for a couple of months. And my mom had been out there some, you know, my sisters had gone out there once to just try to get him to, you know, get back into rehabilitation, and it wasn't happening. So in July of 2007, we planned an intervention, and unfortunately he left the rehabilitation just a couple of days after he was there.
So he came here, he stayed here for a little while, and then some friend of his called him about starting the rehab center for people, which is something that Curtis wanted to do. He would love to help other people. So he had been clean for, I'm going to say 3 weeks or something like that, maybe it could have been as much as a month, and then he went back to California again. And he started this rehab, and it started off to be a very successful business and very was looking promising, and that's when Curtis was clean for 10 months. The business, the partnership in the business did not work out,
and he began using again. And in June of 2008, he had a traumatic accident.
I was at my house and actually got a phone call from a mutual friend, and they shared with me about the accident, that Curtis had fallen 3 stories, and it didn't look good.
When I got that phone call, it was the worst thing that can ever happen to a mother. It was very, very hard. They told me exactly, they had my son in the hospital, and he was not doing well. They told me what had happened to him. He'd fallen 30 feet, and that he had had a bad brain injury, and that he might not make it, but he was in very bad shape. And so I said, fine, caught the next plane, and as quick as we could, his younger sister, his stepfather and I, and his uncle, my brother, flew down there to be by his side.
and got up to the hospital probably about 2 in the morning. And Curtis had just been coming out of a surgery. He had had several surgeries. He had already had, a brain surgery, and he had to have his spleen removed, and had to have his abdomen opened, and he had been through several surgeries already. But we got to go in and see him, and I remember when I saw him for the first time, he just looked awful. He was so swollen, and he had gauze in his nose from the blood coming out of his nose. His face was not recognizable.
It was a horrendous experience to walk in and see my son all swollen and black and blue, and looking as he did, not knowing if he was going to make it or not. But all I knew is that I was not going to give up hope, that I would do whatever it took to help him survive this.
Hello, my name is Curtis Childers, and I used to be in the FFA. When I woke up from the coma and eventually could speak, the doctor said, "Curtis, who are these 5 women?" And there were 5 women. They were there. And I said, "Well, that one is my sister Renee." And the doctor said, "Good job, Curtis." And they said, "The other 4 that you don't recognize are your mother, your girlfriend Elaine, that you don't recognize, and your other 2 sisters, Tammy and Sarah." But I could not see that. I could not see that.
He did not know from day to day why he was there. Like, we would get there in the morning and he would be very scared, and we were finally someone he recognized, and he would be very scared and just ask us how long we could stay, because it was just a very traumatic, scary event. He didn't have the memories yet.
When I went to bed and then woke up the next day, it was all completely new. So it was completely like starting over every day. There's a movie about this. What's it called? 50 First Dates? And where that happens to a guy, and over and over and over. Well, that literally happened to me. But it wasn't a movie, it was my life.
His friends just really came to his side through all this. When he was in California, he would have so many friends come visit him. People who flew from Texas to come see him, but a lot of his California friends, people that he knew there, just really surrounded him. We were getting inundated with phone calls, and everyone just really saying that they were praying for Curtis and showing support. We actually would update everyone through a blog. That way we could get all this out to all of the friends out there who wanted to know how Curtis was doing, and we would just get comments every day on the blog about, they just were really praying for Curtis, and that gave us such support, and we would read those to Curtis as well.
They believed in me because they knew that no matter what, I would try to get completely through it. In fact, they also believed that I would get completely through it. So my accident happened on June 24th of 2008, which from today, is the day this is being videoed, is 2 years, 10 months, and 24 days ago. Now, why am I keeping track of the accident? Well, the rest of the story is I have nothing, no substance at all in that amount of time. Needless to say, my life is so different, so much better than it was. I'm living with Mom at her house where I grew up on the farm in Nemo, Texas, and I'm doing volunteer work right now. I want to get back in the swing of how to work, how to earn money, because eventually I want to have a job for myself.
As things turn out, you never know how things are going to turn out, and I think that what has happened to Curtis now and what Curtis is attempting to do was all for a reason. With his situation and the things that he got involved in, was a wake-up call. He was going directions he shouldn't go. I think God tried to help him, and Curtis wouldn't listen, which was things that Curtis did a lot of times. And so he had to somehow wake Curtis up and say, hey, you're too important to this world. You have too great of a message for our FFA and students and young people out there. And this is where we're at today.
Just to see the joy in Curtis's life and to see him back up on stage, talking to teenagers and laughing with people and sharing with people, it's been something of an encouragement to me as his friend, and I'm truly proud of what he's become.
People are so supportive. Their support has been so amazing. And it's because of that I was able to get through what I got through.